Podcast with Rich Keefe. It's the DORK Podcast. And Davey. It's the DORK Podcast. Hashtag. It's the hashtag DORK Podcast.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Hashtag Dork. My name is Rich Keefe, joined as always by Davey Eyeballs. He is Rick Rude Von Dick, dude. Y'all know who it is.
It's Ryan. It's Ryan. It's my Ryan. My Ryan.
All hail the king of ginger ale. It's Ryan. Davey, how are you?
Oh, just buzzing.
Yeah.
Just buzzing.
Humming around right now. I actually got something to say. So we talk every once in a while. We remind the listener just how old we're getting and how injuries are
what'd you do?
So I think I have like a mild ankle sprain. And you know how I did it?
How'd you do it?
No clue. Fucking woke up one day, like a few days ago, and I was like, it hurts. Luckily, I don't have to do a lot of jumping in my day-to-day life, but if you were to ask me to jump, it would hurt like the dickens. And I'm just like getting up, walking around the house, and like going downstairs. I'm like, what am I, 107? It hurts to go down the stairs right now. It's like top ankle, and then it's like kind of messing with my Achilles. It's like the whole thing is effed.
Like it's getting to the point now where like I don't know what it's like to feel good.
Yeah, sad.
Like I say, like, oh yeah, like and people are like, no, you're not. That's not supposed to feel like that.
No,
because I have the thing with my foot. Like I had turf toe a bunch of times. And like I feel like shoes are just generally uncomfortable for me.
Yeah,
and I'm just like, I have to get like wide shoes. It's this whole thing. I have to get like wide shoes now, and if I don't, like I have this pair of Doc Martens that I've had forever, and I was like, oh, eventually they kind of stretch out and my foot doesn't hurt in them anymore. And people are like, that's not how that's supposed to work.
It's like the Lunch Lady Land song. It's like, I got these brown orthopedic shoes because I got a bad case of the gout.
Yeah, have to buy special inserts for my shoes now because I'm flat-footed.
Shit, it's fucked, isn't it?
Real thing. Getting old sucks.
So that's the thing that's bothering me the most right now. It's not the only ailment. Also, I was in the backyard the other day, just having a play outside with the kids, and we have balls and shit all outside. So like you just pick it up, and as you're out there, you like start chucking balls,
humming it. Yeah,
hurts like a son of a bitch. I'm like, I mean, granted, for years I would always just try to throw balls as far and as hard as I possibly could. So I know that that's not a good thing for your arm, but I'm like, I can't even throw anymore. It was like the one thing I had. I can't even do that.
There's like, I wish I could show you this physical demonstration of what in poor shape my body is in right now.
Watch this. Like a chart. I need like a look.
See that? Look, say my arm right now, right? So if I do like external rotation, see it almost goes like 90 degrees.
Almost, yeah.
Watch this. That's it.
Where that one stops.
If you can't see, it's like 15 degrees. Like I can't put my arm at my side at a 90-degree angle and go all the way out to the side. I can't do it.
The doctor's like, all right, you can quit messing around with me. Just put it like
I can't.
I can. This is it.
Sucks. It's the worst. And so you throw things for the first time and you hear like that. Like,
ooh. Like, all right, I'll just take it down a notch.
Probably should have stretched. Yeah.
Hurt my neck sleeping. Like,
oh, that's the worst.
I'm like, I sleep basically the same way every time. Or like I always sleep on I sleep on my little tummy, and then I go either head left, head right, and then one day you wake up and it's just cranked. Like,
you're a belly sleeper?
Belly sleeper, my little belly, my little tum. I sleep right on there. Yeah, face first.
I can't sleep like that.
Oh, you sleep on your back or your side?
Side sleeper.
So doesn't that fuck up your knees? Aren't your knees on top of each other? That fucks up.
No. So what I do is I tuck a little blanket in between my knees.
Oh, you stick a little blankie in there?
Yeah, no, just like I roll the blankets up a little bit and stick it between my knees. So there's a little padding in there.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's nice. All right. Yeah, I don't like that. I can't do the side. Oh, so my other question for you side sleepers, doesn't your arm that's touching the bed fall asleep? Like go numb?
No, you get that out you get it out in front of you. You don't sleep on it.
That's preposterous. So you sleep with your arms fucking straight
No. Like if I'm on my side, like one's like this, like it's like on my side.
Yeah, but aren't you like leaning on your shoulder?
No, you will like. It's more like it's like the back of your shoulder, but like I have what I call a hug pillow. Like I have like a pillow that I hug.
All right, yeah, I think you would need that because otherwise, I'm waking up with tingly fingies. I got like bad knees.
Well, I have that. I mean, shit, I got that anyway.
That might be side sleeping.
Yeah,
and like. I think ideally, like sleeping on your back probably is a good plan, but I can never fall asleep that way ever.
I used to in college, I had a twin bed because my apartment, remember that room I had in that house? That was like, everyone had like these massive rooms, but I was like the last roommate in. So I got like this tiny little room. So I had a twin bed in it. And, my girlfriend at the time would like sleep over, and I learned how to like sleep like a vampire. Like I was like my back.
Is Nosferatu here next to me?
Sleeping like hands on my chest, like sleeping like I was dead. Yeah.
Not trying to wake her up, not trying to move a muscle.
Just don't move. If she wakes up, she's gonna be pissed. Yeah.
Like, this is so uncomfortable. This is the most uncomfortable I've ever been in my life. Ryan, inspired by the Bad Batch season 3, third and final season, which I'm telling you, they're ramping it up nicely. I ripped all 3 episodes already. The third one is really good. And I was inspired. I said, you know what? We should come up with the official hashtag DORK top 10 Star Wars characters. So without further ado, Ryan, are you ready?
Y'all ready for bisque?
For the topic du jour.
I don't think I am.
Well, I'm glad you asked because it's the topic of the day. And as I just said a moment ago, it is the top 10 Star Wars characters of all time. Now, listen up, everybody. This is movies, TV shows, video games, comic books, novels. I certainly have not read everything, nor played every video game. I've seen all of the movies, and I've seen, with the exception of like that Resistance show. Yeah. There's like a Star Wars Resistance show. I've seen all the shows. I've seen everything else. I've only seen parts of The Young Jedi when that pops on. I haven't.
That creeps me out. I can't watch it.
I haven't watched that because like just, of all the things that CC watches, she has no interest in that. Like she knows that I like it. Then I'm like, do you want to watch it? And she's like, no, like let's just watch Bluey or let's watch something else. I'm like, all right, fine. So like I haven't seen really any of that, but everything else I've seen. And what we did was Davey and I both did a list of 10. And then we just added up the numbers there. We also have some honorable mentions that we'll get to before we unveil number 1. And I will say this top 10, I think it's a very, very good, strong top 10. There is without a doubt 1, maybe 2, probably 3 that would be on every other website's lists in their top 10. We don't have them in there. Now they might be like 11, 12, 13, but whatever. They're not. It's the top 10. We're only giving you 10. And
this is, I was going to say when we started, this is way harder than you think it is. There's something you would think would be so cut and dry. There are so many characters that are so good across this whole thing. It's way harder than you think it is.
Yeah, exactly. Like there are some times where maybe, we either have or will do top 10 lists where like 8, 9, and 10, you're like, I don't really fucking care. Like just get them in there. It's more about the top 5, 6, but this is tough. Like I think the next 10, I was looking at the honorable mentions and we might have 10 or 12 honorable mentions. And they're all
I would say you could make a list of 10 honorable mentions and they would make 90% of the people's top 10.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, because I think the shows have been so good recently. And so that helps. And then they've been flushed out and there's so much overlap. And then these characters that are in so many different things. And then, so yeah, they've definitely sort of jumped up to the top. So, all right, let's just dive in, Ryan. Why don't you kick us off with number 10?
I'm going to kick us off with number 10 because this one I was most excited to talk about on this list. And so number 10, I think it was like in the middle of the pack on my list, is Grand Admiral Thrawn.
Yep. He's pretty great.
And again, he's been featured in Rebels, in Ahsoka, but where he really shines is in the novels, actually. And if you haven't read it, I know I've talked about it on this before. It's called Star Wars Thrawn. It's called Alliances.
Yeah.
And it's this story where the Emperor puts Thrawn and Vader on the same mission. Like there's this mission, there's like this, I'm not going to tell you too much about it. There's this threat to the Empire, and he needs both of them to kind of figure it out. And the interaction between the two of them is amazing because obviously Darth Vader, everyone, who's never even seen a Star Wars knows who Darth Vader is.
Of course.
You don't necessarily know like how those two would act together. And it's pretty fascinating because there are times where he outsmarts everybody. Thrawn outsmarts everyone. So if you talk about the best criminal mind or like bad guy mind in Star Wars, it's probably Thrawn. Other than the Emperor, other than Palpatine, it's Thrawn next.
Yeah, it definitely could be. And so he's one of the main reasons why Rebels is so good, because you have this villain who's incredible. And then he makes an appearance in Ahsoka, and he is good in Ahsoka. Now, I do think, and it's the same voice, right? It's Lars Mikkelsen. Yeah. So the voice is huge. The appearance kind of threw me slightly. Like, I think the Thrawn in the animated series is more of like a very chiseled physique, like almost like a chiseled face.
Slender.
Kind of slender. He was not slender so much in the Ahsoka show.
Well, I mean, he's been banished. He's probably eating good out there.
Okay, yeah, that's what it is. Could be. And you're right. Both the books with and without pictures, Thrawn really highlighted. There's a good run in the comics for Thrawn as well, and we certainly haven't seen the last of Thrawn. So, yeah, he's great. I have zero problem putting Thrawn on this list. He just missed my list. He was in the middle of the pack for yours, so that's why he comes in at number 10. Number 9 on our list, a guy that's probably the least used in our top 10, but number 9 is Cad Bane. Cad Bane, also great in comics, but we've seen him in the Clone Wars and the Bad Batch for animated, and then we saw him live action in the Book of Boba Fett, where I just remember how excited I was when we saw him and you saw the silhouette of him. That was a legit surprise. You had heard rumors about all these other guys maybe showing up in Book of Boba Fett, but Cad Bane wasn't one of them. And as soon as you saw him, I was like, I would like to see a lot more Cad Bane. And again, you can find him in a few comics as well. It was always good, always kind of menacing when he popped up in Clone Wars. And because maybe he's dead in Boba Fett, maybe not. Either way, they're doing so many different series, and they're always jumping times. Like we could see more Cad Bane again.
We should see more Cad Bane, and I think there's a lot of elements to Star Wars that are very Western.
Yes,
and I love this kind of outlaw gunslinger character that's very like Clint Eastwood-esque in Cad Bane, especially with his like larger world of like bounty hunting.
Yes,
I think this is like one of the cooler characters. I know there's like a bounty hunters, like there's things in the works dealing with that. Aren't there like a movie or like a game or something that they were going to make with just bounty hunters?
Yeah.
Which would be a little interesting corner of this universe to explore, but there's none cooler than Cad Bane as far as I'm concerned.
No, and in fact, like I feel like kind of what they went for and what a lot of people kind of still like from the original series, and when they first saw Boba Fett and they're like, look at his armor, look at him, he's a bounty hunter, like he's so fucking cool. And you realize he doesn't really do shit in there. He's kind of clumsy, and he's like, yeah, he looks cool, but he's not as badass as everybody wanted him to be.
Right.
And then so many years later you get Cad Bane and you're like, oh no, that's a kick-ass bounty hunter.
That's who Boba Fett should be, is Cad Bane.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Next one.
Speaking of Mandalorian, so at number 8, a well-deserved spot on this list, and I think, again, not underused, but maybe underserved, under-recognized character. The unsung hero of this list, I think, is Bo-Katan Kryze. Now,
big fan.
Played by Katie Sackhoff in the series, and all like the live-action series, in The Mandalorian, in Boba Fett, that's it so far.
She was in
Rebels.
Clone Wars, Rebels, Mandalorian. Yeah.
So this story arc that happened on Mandalore. So like you have Din Djarin, who's like part of this like weird sect. You have Boba Fett, who isn't really a Mandalorian. Can we say that?
Yeah.
So if you really wanted to see what the actual Mandalorian people are like, this is what you would probably get, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think so. So they coming from the royal family of Mandalore, and just Katie Sackhoff did such a great job with her as her. And I think going forward, like this is going to be one of those characters like Ahsoka that's going to get her due at some point.
Well, and it was just so cool. Like she did the voice and she did live action, and just like you talked about with Thrawn, same thing. But I feel like you got more of it, and she was a even better live action adaptation. Like she was so good. And Clone Wars, I talk about Clone Wars all the time because like some of the best moments are great. And yes, there are a ton of episodes. You certainly don't need to watch all of them. There are sort of these like little mini arcs. You're like, okay, that's for like, a real deep dive, I guess, into like, droids or whatever else. But the good stuff, and a lot of it does include Bo-Katan and some of the Mandalorians throughout those seasons. She's in like 3 of the seasons, I think. And then you see her again in Rebels. So yeah, I'm all in on
So
Bo-Katan.
It's funny, I was thinking about it the other day. I would change the name of the current series to A Mandalorian.
I know,
because Bo-Katan is the Mandalorian.
Yeah, right. No, definitely
Din
is.
Djarin is a Mandalorian. Bo-Katan
Yeah.
is the Mandalorian.
And I know some people were kind of like, I don't know if annoyed is the right word, but they were like, "Oh my god, like there's so much less Mando than there is like Bo-Katan." And like that's kind of how they've been doing these stories. It seems like is they're almost like trying to set up for other offshoot stuff. So
Yeah.
I'm not gonna blame Bo-Katan for it. The Bo-Katan was great, and it was like, all right, yeah, could you have used more Mando? Sure. Like, did you have to do like Mando and Book of Boba Fett instead of like just continuing that story in his own series? Yeah, you probably should have done that, but
Right.
I still think Bo-Katan is great. And what was the line that she had, Katie Sackhoff, when she was telling that story? She was like about like how the fans have like received her, and she's like, all the comments are like really good or whatever. She's like, and then you have like, what'd you say? She's like, but then you have like 3% of people who are like, oh, I want you to sit on my face.
Yeah.
And then like every time she posts a picture, it's people being like, I'm in that 3%. And it's like insane. It's like nonstop people being like 3%, 3%. Like
every comment is like 3%, 3%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was. She was like, yeah, people are good. There's like, people like it, people whatever. Then 3% say this.
They just want you to, yeah.
Yep. Like, all right. Coming in number 7 on our list. It's funny, just the way the scoring went, it's all very much like new age characters, but the Mandalorian himself, Din Djarin, of course, every season of the Mandalorian, the Book of Boba Fett, he appeared in and really was the highlight of that season. And we got word that he's got the upcoming movie. So
yeah.
He was great. Like that first season, like just like kicked so much ass. Like you just didn't really know what to expect. He's such a cool character. We talked about last, I forget how long ago, about it is sort of weird when you realize that Pedro Pascal's not in there and like he's not really doing all that
like
stuff.
80% of the time, he's just not even there. Yeah.
Like, all right, whatever. Like I'll just enjoy it for what it is. But super cool character, whether he's with Grogu or he's got the dark saber or he's like mixing it up with all these different people. Like he's definitely skewed in my eyes a little too much good guy. I'd like him a little bit more just like doing his shit, like doing his missions. But I think when you're like a lead like this, it was hard not to kind of pull him in that direction.
And I feel like I misspoke earlier when I said Cad Bane is who Boba Fett should be. Really, Din Djarin is who Boba Fett should be.
Yeah, true.
And I think this bounty hunting, like badassery that he does, like we've gotten so far away from I can bring you in warm or I can bring you in cold.
Yeah,
like that was such a good line, like such a good line, and like such a great, like early on in that first episode, there's like the first 10 minutes of that first episode, you're like, oh shit, and he's like this anti-hero kind of character. Now he's with Grogu, he's getting a little soft for me, but.
Yeah, he is. Like he's still pretty sweet though, and weren't really sure what to expect out of the live action shows because the live action movies are kind of hit or miss. Like the sequel trilogy, I think people like parts of them. You know, yeah, you have some fans that love them, you have some fans that hate them, but whatever. Like it's certainly not unanimously liked. Like Mandalorian is closer to being unanimously liked. I know there were some dips in season 2, but they still really like really high episodes. Like you were talking when during the True Detective episode about like if you rank or you personally give like a score to each episode before you give it an end of the season, there were a few duds with Mandalorian, but like the highs, I bet they have a bunch of 6 out of 6 episodes.
I mean, you think of it like the first episode, obviously, when you meet Grogu for the first time, the Jedi, you see Ahsoka again.
Yeah,
one of the finale with Luke Skywalker showing up, like these holy shit moments that happened in this show. And it like we talk about it all the time, like such a cool time period.
Yep.
In Star Wars lore, this like period between the trilogies.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. Yeah, no, I like it. All right, who's next?
Next, I thought you might have had this guy higher. So. Speaking like
I did, you
trilogies.
Had him low. You had him 10th.
I had him super low. Oh, I had him.
Yeah, you had him 10th. I had him a lot higher.
You know what it is? I don't get enough of them.
That's fair.
I don't get enough of them. That is number 6, Darth Maul.
I love Darth Maul. Holy smokes.
I want to get more of Darth Maul. I feel like Phantom Menace, there wasn't enough of him. And I feel like he was, made a little brief appearance in Solo.
Yep.
And he was in Clone Wars, right?
So he was in the Clone Wars. He was in Rebels. Briefly in Solo, that spin-off movie. Obviously, his debut is in Episode 1, Phantom Menace. He also has been in video games. He's really good in comics. He has his own arc in the comics. So you learn a lot more about him, like the whole Darth Maul run. In fact, that's, I believe, where you get Cad Bane is in that same Darth Maul series. And do you remember he was a playable character in Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3?
People forget that, but yes, I do remember that.
Cool as hell. And he had the double lightsaber is sick.
And he would like force pull the skateboard. He would like shoot it out and then pull it back in.
Sick as hell. No, I love Darth Maul. I Darth Maul really high. I think I don't love how he went out. I really don't. Now it was, I think him and going back to was it Rebels, like his one-on-one with Obi-Wan Kenobi, it kind of was like too quick for me. And like all of a sudden, like you have this unbelievable guy who came back to life after being like sliced in half. All the Dathomir stuff is always great. The Night Sister stuff is awesome. And then he kind of died. He kind of goes quick. But then it's funny, like he's so into like the Jedi and the Sith and all that shit going on. He's just like Obi-Wan, or he asked Obi-Wan like if Luke Skywalker's the chosen one, basically. And like so there's a nice moment between those two, but there's a lot of real good buildup with him trying to like recruit Ezra Bridger to like his side, and like Ezra's kind of caught in between. Like, do I go with Maul? Because Maul and Ahsoka Tano are two characters that I think have been in it. They were in it on either side, right? Ahsoka Tano was like learn it the Jedi way. Darth Maul learned it the Sith way, and they both realized like that's not the way to do it all the way. Like,
and I think that have we ever gotten a conversation between the two of them?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, I think so. I think that was in.
I don't remember.
Clone Wars, probably, or no, maybe it was in Rebels. No, it might have been in Rebels, because I think if I remember correctly, right before Ahsoka fought Darth Vader, Maul was also there with Ezra and with Ezra's teacher. I forget, Kanan Jarrus. I think they were all there together. So yeah, I think Ahsoka and Darth Maul definitely know each other.
But that's a great. Why did you get out? I mean, that would be a cool conversation for those two to have.
Oh my god, hell yeah.
But again, it's a character that like is super compelling in the animated series.
Yes.
But like again, you said he's taking on two Master Jedi, is handling both of them, kills one of them, and then immediately gets killed by the other. Like that.
Yeah,
doesn't make any sense. But you talked last episode about having lead in your pencil. I believe is your term. Your term, not mine.
Yeah, sure.
The very first time you saw a double-sided lightsaber, you're like,
you can't do that, can you?
You can't do that. That's crazy.
So sick. It was the sick thing. And
it was in like the trailer. You saw him like put it out and then have one, and then it comes out the other side. You're like, whoa! Like that was like the coolest thing I'd seen at that point.
And even now, like obviously Phantom Menace is not the greatest movie in the world, but there are high points. Like there are high points to it. And that is one of them. Like anytime Darth Maul is on there, like that was a kick-ass character that was created. And yeah, they quote unquote killed him in that movie. But then Filoni was like, no, this guy's
need to do
great.
something with this.
We're bringing him back. And then you have him with like the mechanical legs. And another reason why Clone Wars and Rebels are worth watching is because you get Darth Maul, you get Cad Bane, you get Darth Vader, you get Thrawn, like you get all these great villains kind of mixed in. And I would have loved to have seen a little bit more too. Like the Solo movie was not very good. And I feel like Maul probably like that syndicate thing that he was like working with. I think we would have gotten more of it. Like if they did like a trilogy of films or something, you probably would have gotten more Maul. And also there was a George Lucas original plan for the sequel trilogy. So like what ended up being Rise of the Skywalker, Last Jedi, and Force Awakens, not in that order, but flip it. And Maul was supposed to be the main villain, and it was going to be him with like the mechanical legs. So basically, keeping the whole canon in place. But that sequel trilogy, like Darth Maul would have still been alive, and he would have been like either like a crime boss type thing, or like just
well, they definitely set that up as a Crimson Sun or something like that. Like they definitely set that up.
Yeah. So
yeah. Well, it's some multi version of this universe. There's that trilogy instead, and I would love to see it.
Yeah, no shit. That would have been a lot better. All right, coming in number 5 on our list is none other than Luke Skywalker.
Right where he needs to be, right in the middle, right in the middle of the pack.
Fine. Episodes 4, 5, and 6. Obviously, he was in episodes 7, 8, and 9. He appeared in The Mandalorian. He appeared in the Book of Boba Fett. Of course, countless comics and games and everything else. He is in many ways like the guy. He's the lead character. You got to have him on the list. He's certainly in the top 10. I don't know if he's anybody's favorite character, and maybe that's being a little too harsh, but like, I don't know. I think you like other people maybe more than him, but he is sweet. And I do think that he's had a nice kind of resurgence, like whether they're bringing him back and they're like de-aging him, or like old ass Luke Skywalker, I think is also pretty sweet from the new trilogy.
And I like the story of this character. I mean, in the books and stuff, he does form the new Jedi Order with his wife, and he has his own kids, and Ben Solo is in there too. So we missed a little bit of that, but his relationship with Ben Solo, Kylo Ren. Actually, his name it's Ben Skywalker is Luke's son in the books, and Jason Jacen Solo is the name of Anyway, I like that. I like him trying to start the new Jedi and like trying to do things the old way, and like really realizing at the end like that's not going to work. Like this is all bullshit.
Yeah.
And like has that scene with Yoda where like all the stuff, the books are burning. He's like, who gives? And Yoda's like, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Like you don't need that. I think that was really good for that character, and I think that's how we were introduced to this with Star Wars. That's with Luke Skywalker. Like that's how it was supposed to.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, he was the guy. All right, coming in number 4 on our list is.
And my sneaky favorite character in all of Star Wars.
Because Chewie.
I love because this guy, you talk about what he's been in. He's been in fucking everything, and nobody gives him his due. Even in the very first movie, he's the only one who doesn't get a medal.
Insane.
He's been there. He was in the original. He's been in all 9 movies.
Was he?
I think so. Well, no.
I don't know if he was in.
Yeah, because remember he's in Clone Wars for sure. Because remember he was on Kashyyyk.
I think that
he was there.
I think that was. I want to say that was Revenge of the Sith.
Whatever, but he was in the original. He's been in not in every movie, but he's been in every trilogy.
Oh yeah. He has for sure been in every trilogy because I know for a fact he's in episode 3, and then the original all 3, and then the sequel all 3. He's in the Solo movie clearly. Yep. And then he also appears, I believe, in the Clone Wars animated series, and then comics and games and everything else. But
so this guy,
great. And you have to have like a creature. You have to have a creature. It's Star Wars, for God's sake.
It's Star Wars, but this guy is like everything to everybody. Like so he's Han Solo isn't Han Solo without him. Rey isn't Rey without him. He's I would say the biggest unsung hero in this entire saga.
I agree.
It's Chewbacca.
I agree. That's a good one.
Yeah.
All right. Next,
your girl. It's a meteoric rise up this list since the live action Ahsoka Tano.
That's right. Oh yeah, that's right. Sorry, I was doing odds. I always forget when we do odds and evens. I'm doing odds. Fine. Number 3, Ahsoka Tano, who is in the Clone Wars. That's where she debuted. Rebels, Tales of the Jedi. They have like a nice arc with her. She actually her voice appears in episode 9, Rise of Skywalker. She's in The Mandalorian. She's in the Book of Boba Fett and her own show, Ahsoka. You could use more. She's incredible as an animated character. Rosario Dawson, perfect casting for live action. Her connection, and we talked about it a lot in the episode we did for Ahsoka, but just being trained by Darth Vader or Anakin Skywalker, and having a relationship with everybody, knowing everybody in the Jedi Council, but then also kind of pushing away from it, and then having that relationship with all of the rebels. So if you like all of those characters like Hera and Ezra and Kanan and everybody, like she has a relationship there with them. as well. And now in her own series, you get like an older version of Ahsoka and super kick ass. And instead of the double-ended lightsaber like Darth Maul, she consistently uses two. She's like, I'll take two swords, which nobody else was really doing. So they both have
the only other person I've seen do it is Star Killer from the Force Unleashed series, which was sick.
Another good one. Yeah, could have mentioned on this list as well. Yeah.
But I remember her talking about this and not really buying it, and then Filoni kind of saying the same thing. Like, this is probably the most rounded out character, like the most complete character in all of Star Wars.
Yeah.
And just someone who knew Luke and the only like Yoda, but like the only Obi-Wan, but like one of the only people who like knew both Anakin and Luke.
Yeah. Pretty sick.
Like really knew them. Not even it was just like Vader, but like knew Anakin.
Yeah. Yeah, I just think
probably knew him better than anybody.
Yeah. And I would even argue, like you'd brought up the episode that she's in season 2 of The Mandalorian. Might be the best episode of The Mandalorian. Like for me, if I'm going back to rewatch one anyway, it'd be that one. Yeah. She's so kick ass in that. So yeah, she comes in at number 3. Number 2.
Do you want to do honorable mentions before we get to 2 and 1? Because people already see what's coming. We just want to see who's where.
Yeah, good point. So yeah, honorable mentions, there are a bunch. So
many.
I would say the 3 that jump out to me that would be on everybody else's list would be Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yep.
Just missed our list. Princess Leia and Yoda.
Yep.
All missed.
I would like to add.
Yep.
Star Killer to this list. We didn't have Cal Kestis from the video games.
Yeah, the video game guys are great. Cal Kestis, especially if he goes live action, he might jump up on the list.
Yep.
No Lando. I like Lando quite a bit.
I like Lando a bit, but not enough of him. I would have loved to see the Glover movie with him.
Yeah. R2D2, C3PO, Qui-Gon
Those
Jinn.
2, I would package them together like Chewbacca have been through this entire
whole series.
Thing. Yeah.
I personally love Sabine Wren and Harrison Dula. Not enough to get on there. And Cassian Andor. That's another series that was awesome.
So good.
And Jyn Erso.
Say Jyn Erso?
Yeah, Jyn Erso. Good one. Yeah.
And Obi-Wan. We said Obi-Wan, right?
Yeah, Obi-Wan I led with because Obi-Wan I was surprised didn't make the list. So I'm like, you know what? Like I love these other characters, and like I just didn't.
He's good, but there's so many better.
Yeah.
And so at number 2, since you're all wondering who's going to come in at 2, who's going to come in at 1, the dorks have decided the number 2 goes to the man himself, Han Solo.
Yep.
You don't have enough bad, like just like a bad motherfucker in this, and that's what he is. You know, I think like originally played by Harrison Ford.
Yep. Then
played by Ansel Elgort. No, what's the kid's name?
Oh yeah,
Ansel Elgort. I forget. It's so bad that I forget his name. But
yeah.
I like that movie more than anybody else. But it's anyone listening, I probably like it more than you do. Sadly, I just do. Sorry. But there's all these like good characters. This very first, like there's good characters, there's bad characters, and this guy you really don't know. And I love characters like that. I find that people whose motivations are a little murky.
Yep.
Even in his best.
Yeah.
Even at his best, he's still like, I don't know about this, you know. So
it's always in there. And that's why, like, Chewie's so good. Like, it's just such a good duo. The Millennium Falcon's the coolest shit in the world. And like he's a pilot, but he's just always looking for his own one-up. He has the best lines in there, right? Because there's like at times kind of corny, like, hey, we love it. Like, we're not going to complain about Star Wars dialogue. But then Harrison Ford / Han Solo comes in with like actual cool stuff to say. You're like, all right, pretty great. Yeah, so he was I think could have been number 1 on some people's list. The number 1 on our list, though, I don't think is going to surprise anybody. That would be Darth Vader / Anakin Skywalker. It's episodes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Rogue One, where he has 2 of the best scenes in the entire movie. Also pops up again, TV shows, Clone Wars, Rebels, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Ahsoka. And just an incredible villain, also like either related to or trained with or trained like all of these characters on the list. The look is awesome. The voice with James Earl Jones is so good. The like going from Anakin to Darth Vader is such a cool story. It's great. He's one of the great characters in film and TV history.
You took the words out of my mouth. I mean, this isn't even about Star Wars at this point. This is about one of the greatest characters of cinema. And I know that it's easy to like dismiss it as like sci-fi bullshit, but like, or anything associated with Disney, but like really, I was thinking about this as we were doing it. And like, I was trying to think of like people who would like say that this isn't the best character in all of Star Wars. And first of all, like with respect, you're wrong.
Yeah.
Secondly,
yeah.
It was like, well, you know, like earlier, like, you know, he's using all these lightsabers. He's never like Rogue One, like he's using his lightsaber and he's like killing all these people. And then like you see him in 4, 5, 6, and then you see him beyond, and like he doesn't really. I'm like, yeah, because he doesn't have to.
Yeah.
Right. Figured out he didn't have to.
Yeah.
Like that's the most like if he pulls out that lightsaber, you know you're dead. But like he could kill you in 10 different other ways.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Yep. Going back to that scene in Rebels where like all those great characters were all like in that same episode together. One of the other cool things is Darth Maul, when he like sees Vader fly in or like he hears that Vader's there, even Maul's like, oh shit, like this guy's here. Like I'm not messing with that.
Well, I was talking about with like Fallen Order, like the game, like when you see him, the only thing you can do is run.
It's awesome. Yeah.
Like you try anything, you're gonna get killed. The only thing you can do is run.
So good.
Yeah.
So good.
And even then, like you might like just pulling the place down around you. Like just it's nuts.
Just incredible. But then also it's so weird too. Like we say this and he's everybody's favorite. He's the most badass, this, that, and the other thing, but he's never even the boss. He's never even the top guy.
Never.
Like that's what's crazy about, you know, he's never I mean, he might be the most powerful Jedi, but he's never the head of the Jedi Council. He's incredible with the dark side, but he never surpasses Palpatine. Now he does kill him. He does kind of
gets killed in the process. He
gets him, but then he's also gets got. But
he gets but then he also got got.
And it's one of the reasons why like I didn't love like the Obi-Wan Kenobi series is like, first of all, he loses again and then he's not in it enough. And like, and then we had a few listeners, they're like, Keefe, I think you just want a Darth Vader series. And I'm like, you're right.
I do.
I think about this every time. And so like when you're watching Star Wars, all the stuff now is either taking place like you're like, all right, is this between episodes 3 and 4? Is this between episodes 6 and 7? Like where are we at? But if it takes place at a time where Darth Vader is around, like the Bad Batch currently does, it takes place during a time where Darth Vader's around. I'm always thinking like, where's Vader? What's he up to? Is he going to pop in? And would everybody just shit their pants if he showed up?
And this is where I think the Obi-Wan series kind of missed the mark, because like what I would have loved to have seen is more of like, so you have this idea of like Obi-Wan is watching over Luke, right?
Yeah.
Which is fine. But like, and he's hiding from the Inquisitors. I would have liked to have seen it more that he's hiding from Vader knows where he is and he's hiding from him. He's not hiding from, and I would have loved to have seen it more like in that series, like Vader almost kills him like 3 times and then doesn't, and like wants to keep him alive because that's what fuels. That's what he has to hate something, right? So he has to hate him for some reason.
Right. Yeah.
And it's just like, but he can't kill him because then if he kills him, he doesn't have anything to do anymore.
It's
right.
Like
so he has to keep him alive.
Yeah, he's getting no Batman. Yeah.
Right. So he has to keep, but he winds up losing again to Obi-Wan. But I would have loved to have seen him like almost kill him, then walk away.
Yeah.
Like 4 or 5 times.
And
sick. Just so you're always looking over your shoulder for me. You're always like, and I always hate you. I hate the fact that you're alive and you're always scared of me. Like that's where I would have taken that. I
know that was a letdown overall. Like you had this great chance, but all right, so we'll see when and if any of these characters pop up again. We'll see. We got the Mandalorian movie. We got some other stuff down the road. I know they're kind of going to go in like another direction. They're trying to start like new series, but we'll see. It's still Star Wars. I feel like there's always going to be callbacks. There's always going to be references. That's just
there's always going to be ways to screw it up too. So.
All right, that'll do it for us. Thanks everybody for listening again this week. You can hit us up on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at Dork Podcast. Tell a friend, tell a dork. Next Sunday, Ryan, I was thinking if we can see it, Dune Part 2. And if we do, we could also do our second episode on Denis Villeneuve movies because he has an absolute filmography. Yeah.
Let's do that.
All right. So that's the plan for next week. Until then, Ryan promised me a million times over you never do another rule.
Yeah, man, I can't promise you that.